Okay, let's do our second set of angles. Let's do the 60s. So here's our 60-degree angle, which is pi over 3 in radians. And if you think about it, if you made your trusty right angle right here, since it's 60 degrees in here, that's going to make, since that's 60, so normally this would be the short leg, long leg, hypotenuse, but we're going to divide everybody by 2. So that's going to be, because we want the, remember, hypotenuse to be 1. So that means we're going to divide everybody by 2. So our y value becomes the root 3 over 2, and our x value becomes the 1/2, which goes back to what we said a long time ago, that, oh yeah, the 60s and the 30s just flip the x's and the y's. So there you go. We've got our 30-degree reference. I'm sorry, 60-degree reference, first quadrant, which is pi over 3. Then, as we showed in the other video, when just deriving all the quadrants, in the second quadrant, the 60-degree reference is 120. And in radians, that would be 2 pi over 3. And then you're thinking, well, it's still the same values. It's still x is still 1/2 spaces out, and y is still root 3 over 2 spaces up, except since you went to the left, that makes x negative. Oh yeah, that's logical, because in the second quadrant, all the x's are going to be negative. In the third quadrant, as we showed her in the other video, 240 is your third quadrant angle with a reference of 60, because it would be 60 degrees to go back to 180. And in radians, that's 4 pi over 3. Once again, it's the same values. You're saying, okay, so it's still 1/2 spaces to make the triangle. If I made a right triangle right here, it's still 1/2 spaces over and still root 3 over 2 spaces down, except now, since I'm going to the left, it's negative. And since I'm going down, it's negative. So I'm negative, negative. Okay. And in the fourth quadrant, you'd say, okay, fourth quadrant, 300 degrees and 5 pi over 3. And like I said, I showed all that in the other video that talks about the derivation. Once again, we're saying, okay, so the same numbers, except, oh, I'm going to the right for x. So x is positive, but it's down for y, so that's negative. So now I'm positive, negative like that. So that's our 60-degree references. Then why don't we go and do the 45s while we're at it? So the 45s, you'd say, okay, 45s. Well, that's 45 degrees and pi over 4. Then you're thinking, okay, what are my angles here now? Well, for the 45s, we're going to say, and I'm pretty sure I showed this in another video, but for 45, you're going to say, well, normally that would be 1, 1, root 2. But we want the hypotenuse, which corresponds to the radius, to be 1. We want that to be 1, so we have to divide everything by root 2. So if I divide everything by root 2, divide everything by root 2, and we are going to have to rationalize, so root 2 over 2, root 2 over 2, and that's 1. So what it amounts to is the x's and the y's are going to be root 2 over 2 every time. So the x's and the y's are going to be, for the 45s, are going to be root 2 over 2 every time. And in the first quadrant, you're going to say, okay, they're both positive, no big deal. Second quadrant, I forgot to put my orange on here. Second quadrant, you'd say, okay, so that's 135. Did that in another video, and 3 pi over 4. And it's still root 2 over 2, except now the x is negative. Third quadrant, 225, 5 pi over 4, still root 2 over 2, but in the third quadrant, x and y are both negative, so negative, negative. Fourth quadrant, what was it, 315 and 7 pi over 4. So root 2 over 2, root 2 over 2. Oh no, but it's fourth quadrant, so only y is negative. So there's your basic unit circle values without the quadrantals. I'm going to do the quadrantals on a separate video. Just for the record, since I hadn't been filling this in. So in the first quadrant, all 6 are positive. None of them are negative. In the fourth quadrant, because we remember all seniors take calculus. So in the second quadrant, only sine and its reciprocal. So sine and cosecant are positive. Cosine, secant, tan, cotan are negative. Third quadrant, tan and its reciprocal are positive. Everyone else is negative. Fourth quadrant, cosine and its reciprocal are positive. Everyone else is negative. So all this stuff is going to keep coming back more and more and more. It's going to be more and more important when we start having to actually come up with the unit circle values. Okay, I'll do the quadrantals in a separate video.